What's up, YouTube? What is up? Ooh, 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 ooh. Escort detail, escort details encounter. Escort details encounter with Diddy and Cassie. Benefied. Let me start all over. What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Check it out, man. Boy, it's hard doing this stuff. Escort detail encounters with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, y'all hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that bell. Hey, Uncle Mike tired, man. I've been focusing and doing so many different things at one time. I'm narrowing it down to one thing, and I got to get it started though. I can't leave this alone because this is paying the bills. So y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check out what this escort is going to say. Let's check it out, man. Here we go.
You can generally tell what's really important in a high-stakes trial by what the two sides are fighting about before the trial.
Yeah.
That's usually the giveaway, right?
Yep.
In the case of United States...
Because to me, they haven't even started the trial. They over here talking about how bad Puffy done beat up on Cassie. That ain't what he on trial for. Y'all got to remember that. Please remember that. Think about it. He's on trial for RICO, not abusing all these women. Okay, y'all done clearly made y'all point that he's an abusive man. They had a makeup artist had to cover up the makeup for the bruises that's on the people's face. No matter what relationship Diddy was in, it was an abusive relationship. So let's check
in a
it out.
high-stakes trial by what the two sides are fighting about before the trial.
Before the trial.
That's usually the giveaway, right? In the case of United States versus Sean Diddy Combs, the defense did everything they could to keep that hotel surveillance video light years away from the jury. And the feds fought just as hard to include it. And we thought we knew all the reasons why. We thought that, Diddy seeing viciously attacking a defenseless Cassie Ventura cowering and trying to stay alive, that would be bad for Diddy, right? No way to deny that. But we now know that despicable display from 2016 and the freak off that came right before it was only the half of it. And maybe not even the most important half when it comes to the charges he's facing, racketeering. Today, the jurors in his trial heard from a former security supervisor at that hotel. His name is Eddie Garcia, and he testified that not long after the attack happened, Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Courtroom, called him to ask for the footage. He said that he told her no on the phone, and again when she showed up in the lobby, said he told her no again. But that night, Garcia testified, Christina Courtroom called him again, and this time she handed the phone to Diddy. Garcia told the jury in Combs' federal trial that Puff said if that video ever got out, it would ruin his career. He testified that Diddy promised to, quote, take care of him if he could only find a way to get that video. And so, Eddie Garcia, who was promised immunity to tell the truth in court, reached out to his boss, who agreed to sell the video for $50,000. And the following day, Garcia brought a USB drive with that video to a meeting, he said, included Diddy, that chief of staff, Christina Courtroom, and one of Diddy's bodyguards. But before handing over that little USB stick, Garcia said he told Diddy he was worried. He was concerned he might be implicated in a crime if Cassie Ventura ever called the police and complained. At which point, according to Garcia, Diddy had a plan. FaceTimed Cassie and ordered her to, quote, tell him you wanted this too, Cassie. A freshly beaten up Cassie was there on the FaceTime wearing a hoodie and complied with Diddy's demand, Eddie testified. He then said he signed a contract swearing that no other copy of the video existed and swearing him to silence with $1 million penalty if he ever spoke of what he saw or of what he did, i.e. the payoff. In return, Garcia says he was handed a bag containing $100,000, double the amount that Garcia's boss had asked for. So he got a bit of it, another guard got a bit of it, and the boss got 50. And allegedly that wasn't the last time that Garcia heard from Sean Combs. Garcia says that Diddy called him on Easter, telling him, quote, "You're my angel. God is good. God put you in my life for a reason," end quote. And then Diddy asked whether anybody had asked about the video. And Garcia said he told Diddy no, and that Diddy said, "Great." Garcia told the jury that Diddy told him if he ever needed anything to reach out, which Garcia did. Said he needed a job. But Garcia said he never heard back from Diddy about that. Now, 9 years later, that video has turned up as evidence, not just of craven brutality, but of potential bribery and obstruction of justice, which are two predicate offenses that are required to prove, what do you know, racketeering. Something else that could prove racketeering and the sex trafficking charges? If Cassie Ventura, his girlfriend, was coerced through fear and beatings to take part in those kinky freak-offs with male escorts who were flown in from, other states, that is what you call sex trafficking. It's what you call coercion, forced labor, other predicate acts of RICO. I'm joined now by Sean Deering, a former escort who worked under the name Skylar.
Here we go.
He says he participated in more than a dozen sex acts with Diddy and Cassie. Sean, it's really good of you to be here. I appreciate this more than you know, because this is a very
putting your sex life on the line, baby. Wow, dude. Oh, here we go.
sensitive topic.
Here we go.
A lot of people are very nervous and concerned, and I can understand if you are as well. Let me start by asking you, when you were with Cassie and Diddy, did you ever get the sense that Cassie wasn't fully into this sex act that you were performing with her while Diddy was watching? Did you ever get the sense that she was doing this because she was being told to do it?
I don't like to assume, and in those situations, I entered in full respect, and I went to everything I say. I don't want to overstep my boundaries and such, and I want to say in all due respect to Cassie throughout the situation, as she treated me with the utmost respect, dignity, even through these crazy acts. Initially, when I had, in the early days of seeing them, it seemed it was very jovial, to adults who wanted to explore further. But as the encounters grew, there was an energy about these situations and such that I guess you could say devolved. So for me to say, from my perspective, that I know for sure by force, it's a little presumptuous, but what I noticed on a physical, just a physical person-to-person perspective, I'm also a bartender, was a bartender, and I did private parties and such. So I observe people a lot, and I'm that guy. I do appreciate. I love to serve, so I'll listen and such. I mainly was there to ensure I accomplished my goal for that evening, to provide the entertainment that the two people who hired me desired. And, for me to say I can definitely confirm this or that, it would be a little sumptuous, but I can definitely say, there's a spirit that had changed through time. And with that, I don't know what happened behind further closed doors with them, but there were signs, some would say.
Can you qualify that a little more? You said the spirit changed. How did things change? And as these progressed into the latter part of the sex acts that you performed with this trio, did it seem that Cassie was as willing?
That's kind of how it devolved. It seemed, I don't mean to speak in such broad terms as this, but I perceived, what we did. We were adults on a adult playground through that time and such. And so that kind of was the spirit initially, where she was very just easygoing and warm. And there were times where in the later days, yes, it did seem very performative in a sense, and that's part of the kind spirit that Cassie has, that and people, many people will ask, well, why do you go back? What if you're so brave, what why'd you keep going? Many won't understand the deep seed of arms that someone with power or fame may have. And I'm just a nobody. I'm just a small dude from a town in Pahoa, Hawaii. But I was involved in these situations, and Cassie just, I guess all I can say is I have the utmost respect for her, and she shocked me throughout the whole experience. I'm sorry, my train of thought gets a little lost at times, but
it's okay. I do want to be more pointed in my questions, only because it's so critical, because they're debating her reaction in, these sex acts. Her lawyers will say she was fully into it. This was sex between consenting adults. She loved it. She texted him. She loved it. She wanted to do these things. But the prosecutors are saying, and she herself said on the stand, no, I didn't. At first, maybe, sure, but this became my job, and this became something I had to do, because if I didn't please him, I could get beaten up by it. And I just wondered if you ever got the vibe, or if you get a sense that seemed to check boxes with you as well. That's kind of how you felt about how things digressed.
With that kind of framing, yes. Like I said, I don't want to come out and say that, because I don't know what went on further. But the spirit that was there, it definitely devolved from cordial two couples having fun into her even going beyond the moment and being kind enough, she would put on the smile and then continue in her role. Put on the smile, put the head down, and then just continue in the role, rather than in the early days of, it's seeing a joyful time. And I also don't want to speak too much beyond, I don't want to say too much for certain reasons, out of respect for Cassie, for other reasons.
Can you tell me this? Did you ever sense any fear? Did you ever sense that Cassie had any fear of the way you and she behaved if Diddy were in the room or if he weren't in the room?
That's one thing, I used the term, she's a badass lady, in the People article recently. And I mean that in the sense that she could step back and understand. I wouldn't use the word fear. I would use the word respect. She respected what her role was, what she was there for. And I ultimately believe that's the only reason I was seen more than once, is that there's somewhat of a kindred spirit between her and I, where I love to serve, and I truly do appreciate others. And I do believe that she has that as well, deeply. And, she wanted to make the most of this situation. She wanted to satisfy this.
Let me ask you this, Sean. Sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you this. There was some episode you described where Sean Combs walked out of the room, and you asked her a question, and she shushed you and said, no, we can't talk until he comes back in the room. Is that true? Is that what happened? Is that the correct description?
Wow.
Yes, that did happen, and I realized I would like to keep I'm going to try to keep our private moments a little more between us moving forward. But there was a moment, where the acts were happening and Diddy left the room, and I forget what I had said, but I kind of just hey, what about this or that? I forget what the topic was. But it was a moment where I kind of had a realization of the depths of the situation where it is, because she was, we were passionate seconds before. And then the next moment, you could tell there was something that had come over her, in a sense that she knew it may cause jealousy or something of the nature, if her and I interacted in some way with him not there. So you sensed a fear. You sensed a fear that came over her very quickly once he left the room, that there should be no conversation between you. Did it sound as though it seemed to you she was frightened? That's why I use the term, she's a badass lady. I wouldn't say frightened. I say she just understood the situation to the extent that she needed to. And that's why I'm sorry, with her, I wouldn't say fear, it was mostly just she understood the situation, and she and yes, you know, I know that through those times, like that demon in his eye, yes, but I personally, I just see her as such a strong individual that I didn't necessarily see fear in her. Just she knew her role at that time, or she.
Sean Deering, I'm very appreciative of you speaking. That you have spoken with the prosecutors, correct? They know your contributions to the knowledge base of your involvement, right?
I'll just. I've received guidance from individuals on. I'm just going to try to leave it at that. I'm here speaking with you, attempting to just have my side heard, and ultimately, I just want Cassie respected on all this. You know, my face was out there, and I just want to let my side be heard. But I don't want to overspeak, and.
You may have to. If they call you onto the stand, I'm nice. They're not sometimes. So I will watch for it. And Sean, if you do testify, I would love to talk to you again. I appreciate you speaking with me tonight.
Nice chatting with you. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.
That's crazy, man. Oh man, you got another person that was that's twisted in this craziness, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I cannot believe this Diddy person. I wanted to be like him. I mean, I wanted to study how you get this amazing record label to grow and sign artists, how you get a recording artist to believe in you, and all this stuff. I was trying to get almost like mimic my, even Death Row. Come find out these guys are doing something. No wonder why I can't make it ahead, because I can't make a person. I can't beat and abuse and be a tough person. I'm only tough when it's time to defend my family and loved ones. I don't think you should be tough to make a person do something that you want them to do, and they don't want to do it. If you don't want to do something I ask you to do, I just ask somebody else, man, and say thank you for your time or whatever the case may be. Hey, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.